What's up, y'all? So today is part two of achieving anything you want, and I'm going to give it to you a little bit more concrete today. So last time was kind of motivational, and I was really trying to get you to focus on determining that you are going to pursue your life's work. And so uh, let me first explain a difference between work and life's work, or career and life's work. Career is what you do to make money. Work is what you do to make money. For some people, work is just it's just it's just anything you can get your hands on, right? So I give an example. My stepdad lives in the Philippines with my mother. He wanted to raise $20,000 to have in an account, kind of an emergency medical fund, and he was not willing to let me foot the bill, which I respect, I understand, but I'm pretty sure he has like pressure from his family because I'm not I'm not his son, I'm a stepson, but so he wanted to have his own money. So my stepdad is here right now working for minimum wage in fast food and a medical center of some sort, like a medical care center. So, and I can tell you something about my stepdad, and maybe I'll do a video on him one day. Um, uh, I call him Papa June. Papa June can raise $20,000 off of minimum wage, y'all. Minimum wage. He did it before. $25,000. He raised it in 2 years. Okay, I know people who work for double the amount of money that he makes, and they work 10 years and don't have $25,000. So, and that's something I want to touch on later on in this video, maybe on part three or something like that. So, work is just what you take to make money. When my ex was pregnant with both my kids, my older kids, I took low-paying jobs um, to to prepare for the births of both children. These are jobs that you would probably think is below my education level, whatever. I needed jobs that were flexible enough to work around the schedule of my business. To some people, they look at flipping burgers or making tacos and what do they call them things? Chimichangas and all that kind. They think that's beneath them. I got a degree. Why would I do that? You know why? Because you need money. That's why. Okay, and then you can waste a good 9 months looking for the ideal job that matches your prestige or matches your how you want to present yourself or matches your education. But I can go to any fast food right now. Within 2 weeks, I'll have a job. Okay, so that's one thing black folks need to get rid of is the idea that I'm too good for something, because every ethnic group that's ever been to America that arrived in poverty, second class status, including those that America hate. I remember when everybody hated the Vietnamese when we moved here. They thought my mother was Vietnamese. I remember now, right now, they hate Mexicans, they hate Arabs. And guess where all those people are working? Mhm. McDonald's, Taco Bell, shit like that. Stuff that your ass think you're too good for. And guess what? They are providing for their families in ways that many of us are not. Let me not go off into that's a whole different conversation. Okay, so the bottom line is, if you need money, there are places out here where you can get it. You must be willing to do whatever it takes to get that money. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, push that aside. Career is where you enter an industry and you specialize in that industry and you stay in that industry and you grow within that industry. And of course, this is not one of those things where you start off at $10 an hour or whatever minimum wage happens to be at that time, and 20 years later you're still making minimum wage. Okay, that's not career. I mean, well, sometimes you can be career in a job. Career is where you grow. You enter a field, maybe sweeping the floor at a hospital, catch you 10 years later, you're an x ray tech, Catch you another 10 years later, you're the supervisor of the X-ray tech department or whatever. I don't know. I don't work in hospitals, so I don't know what the jargon is. That's a career where you specialize in a field and you grow within that field. So you have work, you have career, then you have your life's work. Your life's work is what we talked about in the last video. Things that you felt compelled to do. That money is not even on your dome right now. You're just thinking, this is what I love and this is what I want to spend the rest of my life doing. There is a small number of people who pursue their life's work. Okay, let me tell you something. Dreams, your life's work, your calling, it should not be something that you talk about when you're on break at your job. That when I'm done with this, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life painting turtles or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna write books and I'm gonna make music and things like that. Dreams are not something that you're supposed to fantasize about when you're waking up in the morning, thinking about it's time to go to work, and now you have to tuck those things neatly under your pillow when it's time to get up and go into the real world. Dreams are not things that you talk about when you're drunk or smoking weed with your buddies and, man, if I could have done it my way, this is how I would do it. That is not what dreams are. Okay? Dreams should be concrete. They should start with an idea. They should start with the desire. They should start with that burning passion inside you that says, this is what I want to do, where every time you got a little extra money, you might... matter of fact, let me say this. The other day I was talking about a friend of mine named Bernard Warren. Bernard Warren is a dude from Washington, D.C. that I grew up around when I was in high school. He's a martial artist. He was a lifelong martial artist. And he loved everything about martial arts. This dude had every weapon you can think of. He studied, a ton of styles. He and I traded. He specialized in something called Tong Long, which is praying mantis, and I specialized in Filipino martial arts, Eskrima and Kung Tao, and a Kung Fu style called Jiao Ga. And he and I traded techniques. And when I was in high school, he introduced me to backyard boxing. Not too many of y'all know about that, but backyard boxing was basically a bunch of dudes, and we just kind of met up at different places, and most of the time we were bare knuckled. So, but sometimes we had gloves, sometimes we didn't, and we just fought. And think about Bernard. Now, me, I didn't do that many. I was younger. I had got beat at a couple because I'm fighting older guys and stuff like that. But I did it, and I did it for a few years. Bernard had been doing it. He was like one of the pioneers of backyard boxing, at least in the DC area. And dude had no teeth and stuff like that. But you know what? The dude I just talked to him about the other day, I didn't even know he knew him, and I just happened to bring him up because this dude had no teeth. And he was like, yeah, no, that was a tough motherfucker. Bah, right there. Bernard died in his 30s. When he died, he had a small funeral. His wife didn't know how to get in touch with most of us. And but he has been edified for the last 20 years by everyone that knew him, because they were like, everybody says the same thing, man. I done met some dudes that could fight. I done met some dudes that can beat 2-3 niggas at the same time. This dude, Bernard, who was shorter than me, and he was half Chinese. He looked Chinese, but he was black. He was like half and half. This dude could fight. You know what I'm saying? And that was his passion. His passion was fighting. He was excellent at it. And yeah, he was a janitor. He was a janitor for a building over at Farragut West in Washington, D.C. You know that area. That's like a high dollar, area. I think the only people who live down there are probably millionaires. But he is well respected in the circles that I ran in. Even guys who only saw him fight once or twice, they knew this is when he was a tough son of a gun. And this dude was a student of fighting, not just martial arts. That was his thing. He loved martial arts, but he was a boxer. You know what I'm saying? He did everything. And this was a guy who did what he loved. Now, the thing about Bernard had not figured out how to make money doing it, other than maybe betting. We'd go somewhere and he'd bet somebody he'd knock him out, stuff like that. But anyway, that being said, that you can pursue your life's work, you can pursue your passion and not make no money. And that is where, in Rumi's poetry, he talks about the agony and the ecstasy, right? Love can be agony and ecstasy. It could be something you love so much, but you agonize because you can't do it, right? Maybe she's another man's wife, or she doesn't love you back, or you can't be with her for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Or it could be the love of music. I love music, but I gotta work and I can't do it. So there's an agony and an ecstasy in all things that we love. And I would say probably for most of us who have a passion, a desire, a goal, a fantasy, a dream, it's more agony than it is ecstasy. Some guys are lucky. They're able to pursue them because they lucked up. Well, I wouldn't say lucked up. I wouldn't say that. They happen to have the fortune of being in a job that paid the bills, and maybe they had an understanding spouse who allowed you, you know what I mean, had no problem with you pursuing your hobbies or your goals or whatever. Some people were able to have that balance of career and dreams. You know what I mean? Some people were able to only spend a little bit of time in their passion. Some people were able to spend more time in their passion. Some people had bands outside of their regular jobs. The trick is to find a way to do both. And it doesn't have to be balance. It could be that you pursue your goals full time. You find a way to make money full time with your dreams. And trust me, I don't care what your dreams are, there's somebody out there making money at it. So, yet in the last video I talked about football. There's a lot of guys out here who love football, did not make it to the pros, maybe didn't even make it through college, but they had a love for the game. So as adults, they got jobs in the school system, and then they used their connections in the school system to work their way into coaching positions where they could coach football, which allowed them to pursue their dreams, maybe even develop young players to somehow be involved in the sport. Okay. And to me, that is success, because are you doing it? Yes. Are you making money at it? Maybe, maybe not. But you are not putting away your dream at the end of the night and then going off and spending 8 hours a day doing something else. You are able to spend your life doing what you love. Okay. So last video, we talked about first determining for yourself, that acknowledging that I have a goal, I have a dream, I have a desire. Today, we're going to talk strategy. So there's a difference between having a dream and pursuit of a dream. And for most people, if they even acknowledge that they have a dream, that's all it is. It's just a dream. It's just a desire. It's just something I want to do. Maybe for some people, it's just a habit. But if you pursue it, if you engage in it, if you partake in it, I had an ex-girlfriend who's an excellent cook, excellent baker, and her education put her in accounting, and that's what she spent her life doing, working in accounting. But for as long as I can remember, she's always, and I've known her for about 17, 18 years, she's always baked. She's always sold cookies, wedding cakes, pies, all that kind of stuff. Matter of fact, between she and I, and maybe a couple other friends, we have a joke about a mutual friend who is a baker as well. And he actually worked in the grocery stores for years, part time, while he was a school teacher, got to retirement as a school teacher, and then baked full time. By the time I met him in 1999, he was one of the first guys I met here in California. He was only doing one thing, and it was pies. This dude made made a this dude made a cornbread that'll make you slap your baby's mama. You know what I'm saying? It'll make you get back with your baby's mama. His cornbread was amazing, but he didn't sell it. You know what I mean? He was great at whipping up cookies. I mean, he could do all kinds of stuff. But he only did pies. Why pies? Well, because this was his favorite thing. This was the thing. This dude literally ate pie every day. I'd go to his house. I don't care what day you go. My kids went to high school near his house, and I would just stop by. And the brother's like probably 80 years old now. Any day, the brother's name is Aswad. All y'all in Sacramento know who I'm talking about. Aswad Ali, the slap your mama bean pie. He was always hawking those pies. But yeah, no matter what time I would go by, this dude would have pies, and wasn't always bean pies. If you went there, he'd have apple pie, he'd have custard, he'd have cheesecake. This dude just loves to do pies, and he sold these pies to restaurants. So if you remember the old Jamaica House and Sweet Fingers, Hot and Spicy, that was another restaurant. They carried his pies. What was that? Flowers Fish Market carried his pies. So this dude, Cobbler, the Cobbler Inn, sold his pies. So this dude was just really, really good at it, and he was so good at it that he made a full-time income from his pies. And I've seen this guy make $600-700 in a day selling pies. And what he did was he filled orders, and then we put several pies in a box in my back seat that he had cut up already. And we would just stop somewhere, and he would hop out the car with a plate and a clipboard. He'd run in, and he'd come out with a handful of cash and several names and phone numbers on his clipboard. He would run into a place, give out slices of pie, and collect orders right there on the spot. This dude was a hustler. Okay, so now you wouldn't think that a guy could live in a city like Sacramento and pay his rent. And of course, I mean, he did have retirement, you know what I'm saying? But he was able to sustain himself selling pies, hoofing it on foot. He didn't even have a car. Okay, he did not have a car. I did buy him a car back in the day, and he ran the thing into the ground, never got insurance on it, that kind of shit. But, you know, mostly he was on foot selling pies, and he sold enough pies to take care of himself. Anyway, that being said, that if you scale your business, even if you are not in a position to be able to quit your job, you can still pursue your passion. And as long as you never lose focus, that's the biggest thing. Don't lose focus on what your dream is, what your goal is. But let me tell you this. I'll use this one. I keep these notebooks and journals and stuff. And no matter what your dream is, pause that, screenshot it, whatever. See that? How about this? You see that? Read it later. For each item on those two lists, one is a list of businesses and ventures that I plan on pursuing locally, wherever I happen to live. And the other one is a list of programs and businesses and ventures that I plan on pursuing on the internet. Okay, I'm going to throw a couple more at you, but I'm just going to give you one page because I don't want to see that. Screenshot that, read it. What that was are a list of books that I want to write. And this is not even all the books. This is just the first books I'm planning on writing in the next maybe 2-3 years. Once you put your goal on paper, once you put it down, it's like those vision boards. You ever meet people with vision boards? They have their bucket list. They cut out pictures of Cabo and Puerto Rico and Bahamas, and they put it up there, and they put a picture of a certain Mercedes or something. This is the car I want to get. It is a joke that people keep those things and you don't do shit with it. You know what I'm saying? The first step in going from dream to reality is to first put it down in writing. Once you put it down in writing, and there's different ways you can do it. You can make yourself notes and put it all around the house. I will be a world-class author or something like that. I don't know. I will be a champion, heavyweight champion boxer, whatever your dream is, and you put it down in writing, that makes it a little bit more concrete. But if you take the next step, which is to devise a plan on how you get there. About 3 weeks ago, I'm in Washington, D.C., meeting with some friends. A friend of mine had started a federation, a martial arts federation, and I kept asking him probably 10, 15 times, what is your mission statement? What is your vision? And he kept saying, I'm going to run this organization. I have a bunch of people going to charge money for people to join. No, dude, no. What is your mission statement? What is your vision? And I had to explain to him what that was. I told him I was going to make a video. So I'll probably make a video, but I'm just going to break it down to you real quick. The vision is, where do you want to see? What does it look like? What does your life look like when you have achieved your dream? Some people have not thought that far. They just think, I want to play football. You know what I mean? Or they're like, I want to be a millionaire. What does it look like? Where do you see yourself living? Where are you going to be in 10 years? Some people haven't really thought that deeply. For them, it's just rhetoric. You know what I'm saying? And you have to first you have to picture it, that what it will look like when you're done. When you've achieved this dream, what will your life be like? Where will you live? Can you picture yourself in that role or in that position with the money that you want to acquire? That kind of thing. The mission statement is more the short-term stuff. Next year from now, by next year this time, I should be at this point. These are the steps I'm going to take to get to the vision, right? These are the milestones that I want to achieve. Matter of fact, I have another one. Now this one this is actually pretty concrete. I have a number, and I'm not going to tell you what that number is, but in 2013, I made several of these. I put this in another video that I have. This is 2017. (2018) 2019 is not here, and I'll tell you the reason why. Oh shit, 2019 is here. Okay. Well, how about that? This is part of 2019. And so what I did was 6 years ago, I had written up a budget and I gave myself a number. This is how much money I want to have. And at the time, it was 2 years. This is how much money I will have in 2 years. My oldest boy, he and I share a family secret because he knows how much money that is. I charged him with being the person to keep an eye on it, to protect it, to count it. At any point, I could ask my son, how much money do I have? And at that time, he was 13 or 14 years old. He would tell me, Dad, this is how much money we have. So he saw where the sacrifices that I made, where it would go. I even tasked him at 13, 14 years old with keeping up with the bills. When the electric bill came, his job was to pay it. When it was rent time, his job was to pay it. When it came time for groceries, his job was to make the list. I'd give him the money, and either he'd go get it or we'd go get it together. I did that so that at 13, 14 years old, he understood the value of money. And he also understood what happens if you don't budget the money. Because there was a time that he had access to money. He was going to, now we argue about this, but he was going to buy snacks and fast food and shit like that. So he ended up spending over budget one time and then realized we didn't have enough money for electricity. My son was in the 9th grade, or he might have been in 8th grade. 8th grade or 9th grade, I can't remember. He was so stressed. He was damn near in tears. And it's okay, because I always, I'm a daddy person. I make shit happen. I had money that he didn't know about. But by trusting him with that money, he was able to even make a mistake on managing it. And see, now my son is 19 years old. And at any point, if I call that boy, young man, he will tell me exactly how much money's in the bank. And I guarantee out of 90% of you guys watching this video, y'all can't do that down to the dollar. My son can. And the reason why is because I taught him how to use money, but I also taught him projection. So what that means is he will know how much money, he knows how much money he will have 3 months from now because we've worked that out. You guys should be doing the same thing. With my homeboy, when he started talking about his organization, he was like, we're going to need business cards and websites and stuff like that. My job, I was supposed to write the copy for his website. And we were talking about fundraising, and he kept saying, well, I need to raise money. I'm like, well, how much do I need to raise? And he was like, how about $1,000? Well, what are we paying for with that $1,000? He hadn't thought about that. So you just randomly throw out a number? Suppose I raise $4,000. I give you the 1,000. This extra 3, shit's going in my pocket, right? Oh, no. So what happens is when you have a mission, when you have a goal, you have to clearly define that goal. You put it in writing. Know exactly where you want to go. Know exactly how you're going to get there. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, these allergies are still kicking my ass. Know exactly how you want to get there. Now, sometimes you don't know. So I have a young brother named Roy I talk to every now and then. Matter of fact, I got 2 people I talk to. Roy and then a young lady, Denisha, who works over here at the Walgreens. So the both of them have said, well, I don't know how to get there. I work a low-paying job. I don't have money to go to school. So, of course, I'm not going to go into their situations, but you probably are asking yourself the same thing. The way some people, their only goal is to make more money than they're making now. And I should probably do a video on budgeting and saving money. You could budget and save money on any income level. Like I said, my stepdad, works at either Mountain Mike's or Domino's or something, one of these pizza places, and then he cleans up at a healthcare center. But this year, by the time the year is out, he'll have $20,000. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll take that back. By this time next year, he'll have $20,000. It is a matter of knowing how money works and knowing how to make money, how to acquire it, how to save it, how to budget it, things like that. So I have to do a whole new video on that. But just understand that you have to put things down in writing in order to at least have an idea of how to get there. Now, as far as learning, or let's say achieving your goal, let's say you have to work, you got a kid, or you're an adult, you're already in the workforce, things like that. Education, it depends on what your goal is, because if it's something like music, there are plenty of places you can go and learn it. When it comes to like a business, or a job or career, there are places that you can go to learn that trade or learn that skill. You may not have money to enroll in a 4-year university or maybe a 2-year university, but you can at least take one class at a time. And you can scale it down as small as you want, but you have to educate yourself, because the most important step in achieving goals is to find out what you need to know in order to get on that path, right? For most of us, we do have a head start on our goals, because maybe we were in high school, you took a class, you participated in a sport, or somehow you got some learning. You just build on top of that learning. You structure your life in a way that you always allot time to learn your craft. Even if you don't have the money to enroll in school right away, you put yourself on a schedule. So let me give you this basic plan, and then we can talk at another time about alternatives to this plan. For the young people that I was talking to who want to go to school, they don't have any money. What I had suggested to them was, don't put the goal out of your mind just because you don't have the resources to get started. If the problem is financial, the obstacle is financial, give yourself a small period of time, 2 years, 3 years, where your goal is work. Your goal is to work as much as you can. Young lady works at Walgreens. She said she only makes 30 hours a week. Okay, what are you doing with the rest of the hours of the week? There's 168 hours in a week. If you sleep 5 hours a day, and trust me, it can be done, or 6 hours a day, basically you're going to need 7 days, 335 hours a week spent sleeping, or if you want to do 8 hours a day, 72 hours sleeping. You're still left with 100 hours that you could be working. So you have one job, supplement with another job. If you have to supplement with a third job, supplement with that. There are self-employed ways to make money. Washing cars, cutting grass, things that you did when you were a teenager. I'm pretty sure most young guys my age went around the neighborhood cutting grass, shoveling snow. Well, if you live back east, shoveling snow, things like that, collecting cans. There are many things that you can do, but you have to allow yourself to do those things without losing dignity. You know what I mean? Because for a lot of us, we feel like the options that are available to acquiring money degrade you. And for people who come from a desperate situation, who come from third world countries, they call that opportunity. And for us, we look down our noses at it. And you can't be that way if you want to pursue money. Oh my God, it's 34 minutes. Let me wrap this up. Bottom line is, you write down your goals, you create a plan to acquire the knowledge that you need in order to pursue your goal, and then you give yourself a short period of time to build up, acquire wealth, to build up savings, build up money. And once you, and then of course, like I said, you have to budget, just like I put right here. That was a budget that I showed you. Once you have that budget, then you let go of the other jobs and then you start pursuing your dream. But you have to put it in writing, because once you put it in writing, it is now a plan. It is no longer just a dream, it's a plan. And then as you go through, you notice in some of these you'll see where I highlighted and circled and checked things off. Those are things that I achieved. So every time I dropped some money in the bank, I circled it and I checked off the week. Every time I finished a project in my list, I check it off. In this thing right here, every time I completed something, or I'd put an asterisk next to it. So this gave me something concrete to look at, to see, yes, I am pursuing these goals and I'm tackling them down. I'm marking them off the list as I go through them. They ensure that these things don't just stay in the back of my head, that they actually become goals achieved. And when we were talking about happiness and we were talking about contentment, you can't get more happy and more contentment than actually acquiring and achieving what you set out to achieve. You got it? So now keep in mind, this takes discipline. It takes diligence. Okay, it takes focus. And as long as you have those attributes, you're focused, you're diligent, you're disciplined, you're committed, you will achieve those things. Okay, so I'm going to close out this video now, and you guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.